it's the weekend, and it's time. Go out to California, check in with Michael Snyder, his little culture blast, telling us what's happening in the moving pitches. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, how you doing, buddy? How are things back in the city so nice they named it twice?
Oh, they suck as usual.
Yeah, man, Los Angeles is a little smoggy, but that's also old news. And my brain's a little smoggy because even though we see tons of films and there are a lot of good ones, I was a little disappointed in what I saw this week in terms of the big budget stuff, the big stuff that's getting out there and getting all the PR.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the family film scene has a little entry called Maleficent from Disney, and lovers of broad comedy are hopefully going to check out A Million Ways to Die in the West, but they may be a little disappointed. What do you want to start with?
I don't care.
All right. Maleficent is an attempt to kind of rehabilitate Disney's creepy sorceress queen witch from Sleeping Beauty, the one with the big horns. Woman looks a little on the horny side. Live action stuff with Angelina Jolie playing the titular character.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts out with her as a little girl with the kind of leathery, feathery wings and kind of a sweet little fairy in the fairy world. And right across the moors is the human kingdom, where humans are, of course, jerks. And this tells the story of how she's kind of hurt as a young woman and how she attempts to exact revenge and what ends up when she actually spends a little quality time with the lovely 16-year-old Princess Aurora, played by Elle Fanning, the youngest of the Fanning sisters, and an adorable kid she is, although it looks like there was a Drew Barrymore factory, and this kid was a second. But actually, you know, the performances are good. The effects, as you well know, are pretty much a slam dunk now. But trying to make Maleficent kind of heroic in some way, why don't they just make, like, you know, Hitler wasn't such a bad guy? I'm thinking to myself, oh, wait, he was hurt when he was a young man. A Jewish girl broke his heart. That explains everything. She stole his mustache wax, and that turned him on a bad path. But eventually he recanted. But no, that's not how things really are. And Maleficent was kind of a labor for me to sit through. 3D, you know, big screen stuff. Charlton Copley plays the bad king, the South African actor from District 9. I like that guy. A good cast. In fact, the one thing I really like are the fairies. Imelda Staunton, Juno Temple, and Leslie Manville. They do some good effects work, and they're really cute, but I don't think so. A Million Ways to Die in the West. I had a lot of hopes for this because I really liked Ted. What did you think of Ted?
I love Ted, and I was looking forward to this. Don't tell me it's not funny.
No, it's funny in places. I just think that he's sort of he's so bland. And by he, I mean writer, director, and star Seth MacFarlane, who's the creator of Family Guy and American Dad, etc. And he plays the central figure, kind of a modern man commenting on the gritty, filthy, awful, treacherous life in the Old West. It's Arizona in the 1800s, and he's living in a town where gunslingers regularly threaten him. And his sweetheart, seemingly prim girl played by the always pleasant and attractive Amanda Seyfried, is dumping him. And what happens but a rowdy, almost tomboyish, but incredibly sexy woman comes to town. It's Charlize Theron, and they take up with one another. And there are lots and lots of jokes that work. But they're, remember Blazing Saddles. You know, the campfire sequence with the farting. Well, this thing is like fart jokes a go-go. If they had just kind of pulled back on the scatological humor a little, I'll tell you, one or two fart jokes goes a long, long way, is all I'm saying. You can't argue with the cast. Terrific idea to have, Charlize Theron as the heroine. Especially great idea, in my book, to have our favorite protector of his daughter, the massively talented and at the same time kind of scary Liam Neeson playing the gunslinger. And you get the extra added attraction of a friend of yours in a cameo, Gilbert Gottfried. Sarah Silverman plays a hooker. They didn't screw around. Neil Patrick Harris is the town a-hole. but I wished it was funnier. It starts out, by the way, you've seen those sweeping Western epics, beautiful shots of Monument Valley, Ersatz Aaron Copland music, but a lot of scatology. Finally, I'll just put it this way. Compared to the Adam Sandler film Blended, this is like John Ford's Stagecoach or D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation. I just didn't think it was as funny as it should have been. And I think in a lot of ways, McFarlane couldn't carry it as the central figure.
Do you think that the problem is that McFarlane's running away with himself by thinking he can be a star?
Perhaps. I also think that he had a problem by collaborating with Alex Sulkin and Wellesley Wild, two longtime lowbrow collaborators from his other movies. And I just think that their fingerprints are all over this thing. I think it was twofold. Did I enjoy watching it? A lot of the time I did. At least I laughed at times and I thought it was smart, unlike, say, the Sandler movies. Mm-hmm. But ultimately I just was disappointed. I wish it had been funnier. All right, something really, really, really good. Night Moves. This is like a creepy, effective film about eco-terrorism done by director-writer Kelly Reichardt, who has worked with Michelle Williams and a few other pretty talented young actors in films like Wendy and Lucy. And this thing is set in the Pacific Northwest, and three radical environmentalists decide they're going to do something really kind of vile. And the performances are first rate. It's so tense and creepy, beautifully shot. The radicals are played by Jesse Eisenberg, Dakota Fanning, the elder of the Fanning sisters, who's, becoming a young woman, and Peter Sarsgaard. And they are terrific in this film. Something very unfortunate happens, and they have to deal with the consequences. I thought Night Moves was first rate. It'll be great on video, too. I also want to talk about We Are the Best, which is a really wonderful, witty film from Swedish director and screenwriter Lucas Moodysson, who's adapting his wife's graphic novel about a couple of disaffected 13-year-old girls who decide to start their own punk rock band in early 1980s Stockholm. This is a wonderful movie with great performances, totally funny and entertaining and sweet and sad. And, these girls are really contemptuous of their gym class and crass materialism and their family's quiet dysfunction. So they decide to rebel and express their anger with punk rock. Very, very cool film. Just, movies like this don't come along very often. And when they do, I'm really thrilled. It's called We Are the Best. It's opening in various markets, including New York, L.A., and San Francisco. Let's wrap this baby up. Filth is maybe as good as Train Spotting in its way. It's Irwin Welsh's really creepy book turned into a film about a bigoted and corrupt policeman played by James McAvoy in a bravura performance, who is so devious and so messed up that he'll do anything to bring down his fellow officers so he can get a promotion. And it's just over the top, and I totally thought it was cool. Jamie Bell, Eddie Marsan, Jim Broadbent, Imogen Poots, Shirley Henderson, all these people that you'll recognize from British film and TV are in this thing, and it's contemporary, and it's a little hard to decipher some of the accents because of the Scottish nature of it, but I still thought Filth was just rocking. It's not going to be for everyone. I think people are going to really be put off by it, but I thought, wow, terrific. And finally, I want to talk about Korengal, which is the kind of flip side of Restrepo. Same director, same troupe in Afghanistan. Sebastian Junger is the director of this thing, and he's with the troops in Afghanistan, and where Restrepo showed a lot of the firefighting, wounding, people being airlifted in and out, the real gritty end of it. This is kind of going into the interior of each individual soldier, what they experienced, what they were doing in their downtime between altercations, and it's a wonderful companion to Restrepo. Korengal is not, there's not a lot of fighting. There's very little bloodshed on screen, if any, but I just thought it was a really wonderful study into war and the camaraderie that develops, and also some of the reasons behind, or maybe the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder that aren't overt, but you can hear how these guys it's almost like Stockholm syndrome, that some guys come back to the world and they would rather be with their buddies in a foxhole. Very, very crazy. What do you got going on, buddy? Anything interesting?
Not really. No. Everything's pretty dull right now. What?
Have you watched anything on television?
I binge watched In the Flesh, which I think is terrific. It's just brilliant. Yeah.
Love it.
Only the British could take the whole zombie genre and turn it on its head.
Right. The basic premise for anyone who hasn't seen it is what would happen if after the zombie apocalypse, people find a way to medically bring back some of the zombies and try to reintegrate them into society.
Yeah.
Their guilt, their decaying bodies still an issue. Totally cool.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also, there are things like side trips, like the story where the husband comes home to his wife who's already remarried because he's been dead, and has to adapt to that. It's more than it's not a zombie genre picture.
Not per se. Not per se.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about it is how it addresses things like bigotry, separatism. There's a sort of subtle, and I hesitate to use this in the wake of seeing what I thought was a terrific movie, TV version of The Normal Heart.
Yeah.
But even of the AIDS crisis.
The first thing that occurred to me is that it's kind of a polemic on that, and it's a great show. It's just a great show. I'm enjoying it very much. It's nice to see something intelligent coming out of that field because I'm so sick and tired now of The Walking Dead with heads being chopped off every week,
Well, I do want to say in closing, no, I actually want to say check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster and also on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page. And I'm heading into the weekend, buddy.
Okay, have a good time. Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
And that's Michael Snyder's Culture Blast here on GabNet.